You don't support the troops. You support the war machine. That's all you care about.
That it is true, though. It's absolutely true. There's so many people who sit back, and a lot of them usually very, very wealthy and well off, and just sign up the young men of their country to go die on a very regular basis. People who don't even serve themselves or never experience anything, but then are like, yes, oh yeah, we should go invade a foreign nation that's not directly attacking us. We should go things up over there. May cost a whole bunch of American lives, but don't worry, we care deeply about you. We're patriotic. We're gonna take care of you afterwards. Just trust us on that one. So, you know how I was just saying how they kind of pulled a bad faith move on the Republicans, and now the Republicans have decided to not vote on this veteran bill out of spite? That's the GOP. They're very spiteful.
They haven't met a war they won't sign up for, and they haven't met a veteran they won't screw over.
Well, damn. Jon Stewart came out with one incredible speech after Republicans, of course, once again did something incredibly cruel, voting to kill a bill to improve health care for veterans that have been exposed to harmful gases while they were in the military. You really can't get lower than this. All the money these
Actually,
people
not true.
approve for
Not true. They always find a way. No, never say that.
war, approved for defense contractors, won't even take care of the people that are in the middle of all of that. And of course, this has been an ongoing issue. Veterans health care has been an ongoing problem, and Jon Stewart has been at the forefront of a lot of that. And I'm telling you, I'm going to show you, big chunks of this speech. It is an incredible speech, and it also gives you a little window into how Democrats could be fighting if they actually knew how to fight. So before I get to the first clip here, let me first set it up so you know what this fight is all about. This is over the PACT Act, so the Promise to Address Comprehensive Toxics Act. So more on that here. The measure is the culmination of years of work by advocates to improve health care and benefits for veterans suffering injuries from burn pit smoke, Agent Orange spraying, and other military containment exposure. It has been widely celebrated as a potential landmark legislative victory in veterans policy. Yet, the GOP voted to block it, which is interesting considering they did vote back in early June, to approve it by an 84-14 vote. But on Wednesday, after technical corrections sent the measure back to the Senate for another procedural vote, 41 Senate Republicans blocked the measure, leaving its future uncertain. So there's a lot of speculation right now in terms of why they did it. That speculation appears to be all around the fact that Manchin came out yesterday that he now has agreed with.
I just want to say, because I know there's a lot of people sometimes on the left who come out and say that we shouldn't actually ever really support veterans from a leftist perspective, because all of them are war criminals, and every single one of them has basically chosen to be on the side of the imperial core of the United States and commit war crimes abroad and stuff like that. There are certainly soldiers who have done and committed atrocious and horrifying things, and they should be called out for committing atrocious and horrifying things. There's also a fuck ton of people who enter the military because of the poverty draft, because they are going to be able to get things in the military that society has completely failed them to get, such as healthcare, housing, education, food, stuff like that. It's one of the reasons I do a lot of recruitment in areas that are impoverished, and that aspect of it cannot be forgotten. Also, there's a lot of people who join the military who do not do active combat, and also recognize when they're in the military how fucked up the military is, and spend the rest of their careers post being in the military speaking out as advocates for anti-war campaigns, stuff of that nature. If you want a good example of that, check out Left Flank Vets on Twitch. So I do not agree with that take. I think that you should still support veterans. Many of them have PTSD. Many of them have had horrifying experiences, and a lot of them are anti-war. Some of them are even lefties. They're people at the end of the day, and the military is the thing that you should be pointing your animosity towards, the military industrial complex, defense contractors, all that kind of shit. That's where your energy should be put.
Chuck Schumer and Joe Biden to pass some sort of legislation around climate change in terms of the reconciliation bill. But that's a separate discussion. But looking at experts and their view on that so far, it really doesn't do a whole lot. But just that promise alone, that, Manchin's going to support this reconciliation package, that apparently meant that Republicans had to now take veterans' health care hostage and vote against this. Now we'll get to the other explanation that they're using, one that Pat Toomey is using. I'll show you that and Jon Stewart's amazing response to it. But first, let me start with how his speech began. And again, look at the approach here. The way he's on the attack. This is how Democrats should be messaging this issue and other issues as well.
So ain't this a bitch?
Yeah. Yep.
Ain't this a bitch?
Yep.
America's heroes who fought in our wars outside.
Soldiers are just cogs in the machine. Hating on them is like hating on any U.S. citizen for causing climate change. My question to you is, would you say the same thing about cops, out of curiosity? Would you apply that logic to police officers as well? I'm curious. I'm choosing violence. I just want to see what the flame war ignites in the Twitch chat for saying that part out loud.
Sweating their asses off with oxygen, battling all kinds of ailments.
Cops are people really join the police to pay for school. Cops make the choice. I didn't choose to be born American. I'm wondering, police recruitment. That's probably true. I'm just off the top of my head. I know that like a lot of police forces usually have people with, well, this is a Canadian thing. I don't know if it's the same in the US, but we have a really high rate of people with like bachelor degrees in the local VPD. Please can quit any time. When you enlist, you're there for a term. That's also true. That does make it different. Historically, military members and veterans are more likely to be defect and join the left than comps. Military service is usually only for a few years. If you oppress other people for your own benefit or social mobility, that doesn't justify it. Armed forces recruiters would do a presentation for us once or twice a year when I was in college. The signing bonus they offered was pretty tempting. Oh yeah, don't get me wrong. I'm well versed on the poverty draft and the tactics they use. I had to do a lot of research for that when I was going to debate Lycan, and it's absolutely horrid the way they behave and the leniency they have to do that kind of stuff. And again, speaking to veterans, one of the things they would say frequently is that we didn't join the military because we had a strong desire to go overseas and kill a bunch of strangers. I did it, and I didn't even do it out of a strong sense of like I'm a proud nationalistic American that needs to uphold the empire. It was that I didn't get those kind of things. I wasn't in an economic situation to go to college, to get to have housing, to have medical care, all that kind of stuff, and the military provides all of it.
While these motherfuckers sit in the air conditioning, walled off from any of it. They don't have to hear it. They don't have to see it. They don't have to understand that these are human beings. Do you get it yet? You know what? I said a curse word and I'm sorry about that. That was my fault. Let me say something beautiful. This is a tweet from Senator Rick Scott of Florida from yesterday. It's beautiful. And I'm sorry about the cursing, and let me say something beautiful to make it up to you. I was honored to join the USO today and make care packages for our brave military members in gratitude of their sacrifice and service to our nation. And there's a beautiful picture. I wish you could see it. He's standing with a little package. Did you get the package? I think it has M&Ms in it and some cookies. Didn't get it. And some moist towelettes. I don't even know, honestly, I don't even know what to say. I've been coming down here 10, 15 years. I'm used to the hypocrisy. Christina Keene will tell you from VFW. She sat in an office with Mitch McConnell and a war veteran from Kentucky, and he looked that man in the eyes and he said, we'll get it done. And he lied to him because Mitch McConnell yesterday flipped.
That Mitch McConnell impression is perfect. Now, I got more clips coming up. I'm telling you, this speech is, we have to understand there's limitations to a speech.
That was spot on.
In terms of what a speech can do. But I'm going to say right now, I think this will get passed. And it will be largely because of Jon Stewart's involvement here, because of his ability to highlight this issue, highlight their obvious hypocrisy. I'll get to Rick Scott's tweet in a second here. Highlight their obvious hypocrisy and just their obvious and overt cruelty. So when you have someone like this who has great relationships with veterans groups, and obviously this act will help them, and him calling it out the way he is, and him, you know, with the profanities, and it gets to more of those, like, all of this shows the real anger behind this, that he is representing in terms of how the veterans feel about this and how they consistently get screwed despite being on the front lines for the never-ending wars that America gets into. Now, on the Rick Scott tweet, just quickly here, this is what he was referring to, talking about how, you know, he's honored to join the brave military members. And here's the image with the care package here. Oh, look how kind Rick Scott is. And then he goes and votes against veterans health care. Now,
that's fucking shameless. That's so shameless.
Quickly, I'm going to link this below the video. So in case you want to know who exactly, if your senator voted against it, I'll link to this below. This shows you exactly who voted against.
Oh, trans femcell. I explained it at the start of the stream. If you want to rewind the VOD.
The PACT Act. Now, Pat Toomey. So we get to the Pat Toomey part of the speech. So Pat Toomey has come up with his own reasoning for why he's against this. I just want to give my best Pat Toomey impression here, with the money coming down behind me. Look, I even got his freckles, but it's acne in my case. Look at that stress acne right there. All right, so let's get to how, or what Pat Toomey is saying about this. So
isn't technology great?
Has come out to say that Congress must protect veterans care bill from being used as vehicle for massive unrelated spending binge. Yes, Republicans very concerned about unrelated spending, yet the party yesterday just approved what I covered with the Bernie Sanders speech, the CHIPS Act, which is just a blanket giveaway to massive corporations with no strings attached, and of course the never-ending money. And Jon Stewart gets into this as well. The never-ending cash that is given to defense contractors with no idea where that money went. I mean, the Pentagon recently, this came out a few years ago, just like lost billions. They have no idea where it is. Just, it evaporated. So this is a, you know, to pretend you care about spending when it comes to, again, an issue that will actually help people. Like, this is the only time they care about spending. It's healthcare. It's, you know, public school. It's anything that will actually benefit people's lives. That's when they come out caring about spending. But here you have Jon Stewart speaking out against this bullshit.
Senator Pat Toomey won't take a meeting with the veterans groups. Sends out his chief of staff. I'm used to the cowardice. I've been here a long time. Senate's where accountability goes to die. These people don't care. They're never losing their jobs. They're never losing their health care. Pat Toomey didn't lose his job. He's walking away. God knows what kind of pot of gold he's stepping into to lobby this government to shit on more people.
True.
I'm used to all of it, but I am not used to the cruelty. These people thought they could finally breathe. You think their struggles end because the PACT Act passes? All it means is they don't have to decide between their cancer drugs and their house. Their struggle continues.
This bill does a lot more than just give us health care.
Gives them health care, gives them benefits, lets them live.
Keeps veterans from going homeless, keeps veterans from becoming addicts, keeps veterans from committing suicide.
Senator Toomey's not going to hear that because he won't sit down with this man. Because he is a fucking coward. You hear me? A coward. Pat Toomey stood up there, Patriot Pat Toomey, excuse me, I'm sorry. I want to give him his propers. I want to make sure that I give him his propers. Patriot Pat Toomey stood on the floor and said, this is a slush fund. They're going to use $400 billion to spend on whatever they want. That's nonsense. I call bullshit. This isn't a slush fund. You know what's a slush fund? The OCO, the Overseas Contingency Operations Fund, $60 billion, $70 billion every year on top of $500 billion, $600 billion, $700 billion of a defense budget. That's a slush fund, unaccountable, no guardrails. Did Pat Toomey stand up and say, this is irresponsible, the guardrails? No, not one of them did. They vote for it year after year after year. You don't support the troops, you support the war machine. That's all you care about.
All right, so I have another
Hell
clip
yeah.
coming up, but man, that last comment especially is just evergreen.
Yeah, that it is true though. It's absolutely true. There's so many people who sit back, and a lot of them usually very, very wealthy and well off, and just sign up the fucking young men of their country to go die on a very regular basis. People who don't even serve themselves or never experience anything, but then are like, yes, oh yeah, we should go invade a foreign nation that's not directly attacking us. We should go fuck things up over there. May cost a whole bunch of American lives, but don't worry, we care deeply about you. We're patriotic. We're going to take care of you afterwards. Just trust us on that one.
Don't support the troops, you support the war machine. That's how Congress operates. It's about the corporate donors. In this case, it's about defense contractors. Another case, when it comes to issues of healthcare, it's about the insurance companies. It's about the pharmaceutical giants. You can apply this thinking to every single issue because that's the reality. Congress does not care about people. They care about who their corporate donors are and where they may get a job after.
Now, the shitty thing is that, I grew up on Jon Stewart. I love Jon Stewart, but like he's one of the good, like I think he's a sock dem, right? He's like one of the good libs, one of the good sock dems for sure. But the broader point towards how all of society, especially American society, hyper-capitalist neoliberal society works is just that. This is the entire thing in a nutshell. They don't care ultimately about their citizens or their people, and they're beholden to massive corporations, these enormous companies that have so much power to lobby and influence and control politics while simultaneously fucking over everyone. And it just continues to get worse and worse and worse in that regard. The technology that we have today, like, did you all know, I don't know if you've ever read about this part in history, but if you want to talk about things like, say, the Great Replacement, not the conspiracy theory done by racists, but the idea that there's a whole bunch of, workers getting replaced, and the conspiracy theorists like to say that it's white middle-class workers who are getting replaced by filthy immigrants and things like that. Well, white middle-class American workers were replaced. They weren't replaced in the way you think it was, though. Two things happened. Corporations largely realized that they could make more money, more profit incentive, if they started to do production in countries where they could pay people less money. So these plants started leaving America. It wasn't in the other direction. The other thing was robots, automation. The automation industry. Things got so bad at the very start of the movement towards automation that there was a movement in Britain, I think they were called the Luddites, where they actually would go into factories and destroy machines because they actually thought the machines were the problem. It's the same kind of thing as people targeting and vilifying immigrants as if immigrants are the problem and not fucking capitalism. Because blaming the robots, who, by the way, are just robots, they're just machines, or blaming immigrants who are like, oh, wow, there's a new factory that opened up here. I have an opportunity to make a little bit of money. I'm going to take this job in this, overseas Nike factory manufacturing shoes, even though I only happen to be about 7 years old. But hey, people will find out about that later. In like every case, it's capitalism. It's profit-driven incentives that are making these things happen. Like the replacement and automation in factories, that should have come with some kind of provision to protect workers at the same time. If we're going to make all of your jobs redundant because a machine can do it, well, then we'll have to find another way to be able to make sure that you're still either gainfully employed or have the ability to sustain and feed your family, instead of just firing you. Instead of firing all of you, because it's cheaper for me, the owning class, the factory owner, to replace you with these machines. And because it's cheaper, I don't give a fuck about you. I mean, I see you as an exploitable series of dollars and cents. I see tens of thousands of you as an exploitable series of dollars and cents. So it doesn't matter to me that we have the quote American dream. It doesn't matter to me that, you know, Detroit manufacturing plants are going to get shut down en masse and result in massive amounts of poverty and addiction and fuck over this the so-called middle class that they always talk about how much they care about. That's the thing that really pisses me off too. They always posture and talk about how much they care about veterans, America, working America, the white middle class and all that. And they're the ones who are completely fine with massive companies under capitalism fucking over those people. The same drive that leads America to want to do all its fucked up imperialism globally is usually to destabilize areas to secure resources. And again, those resources are utilized by corporations. The whole thing is all intertwined in this clusterfuck.
It really is disgusting. So obviously Pat Toomey's reasoning is bullshit. Caring about a slush fund, like the amount of money these clowns approve for.
We should let the machines replace foreign work. I have nothing wrong with the movement towards automation. Moving towards automation is getting steps closer towards queer luxury space communism, which I assume we're all on board. That's what we're trying to march towards right now, right? But automation should also come with either a taxation on robotics, so there is some system or safety net to pay for people whose jobs become redundant and or provide training for them to be able to do different things in their lives. If you have the resources and wealth to be able to, say, sustainably feed your populace, then why wouldn't you make that something? Like, why don't you provide housing security if you're the richest country in the world? Why don't you provide food security if you're the richest country in the world? Why don't you provide medical security if you're the richest country in the world? Like, we've all kind of agreed and made a deal in the modern era, and the same deals made under capitalism, that there are certain sectors of people that shouldn't have to work, namely children and the elderly. But you should increase that to people who also can't work for a multitude of reasons, and then provide them with safety nets so they can live their lives.
For corporate giveaways, yet money here going to healthcare to help veterans, even just veterans, still won't approve it. Like, a lot of these issues could be addressed through a single-payer healthcare system, where everybody's guaranteed healthcare, free at the point of use. But of course, that's a little tougher to get through Congress. You're not getting even Democrats on board with that one, except for a few of them. But in lieu of that, you have this very directed approach to healthcare for.
You sure we all agree that children shouldn't work? I've heard some ANCAPs debate that. ANCAPs and Roblox. God damn. You know, I'm going to be honest with you. When I first heard about Mario Maker, I was like, that's awesome. I love Super Mario World. It's one of my favorite video games of all time. I'm so excited this exists. What a great invention. We are now going to have unlimited and boundless creativity. People are able to build their own Mario games. This is so cool. Thank you, Nintendo. What a great and amazing product. And then I started making Mario level games, and I was like, oh, this is kind of fun. I like making these games. And then someone was like, if you like that, you'll like Roblox. You don't need to actually know how to program. You can just, make video games at your leisure, and you even get to sell the games and make a profit. And then I was like, okay, that all sounds kind of neat. And then you realize how shady the whole thing is, how exploitative the whole thing is, and how the whole thing also operates with a lot of fucking kids making those games, spending hours building their Roblox video games, with Roblox taking a cut of all the child labor and child profits, while at the same time not making a safe environment for children, where a whole bunch of fucked up shit, exploitation as well as potential abuse is taking place towards kids. Roblox is really, really bad. And the weirdest thing about Roblox being bad, and don't worry, this derailment won't take too long, is that, like, I hear it on the radio getting praised all the time. I listen to CBC radio sometimes. You can shame me for that if you want, but they always have guests who are just like, it's amazing in the modern age how we have all these wonderful tools for kids to explore and create and do things creatively, like Roblox, for example. My son uses it all the time, and you can't imagine the kind of beautiful inventions that he's made with this, and then he gets to put it onto the Roblox market and sell it. And then I just always want to be like, can you please watch that documentary on it, though? You need to know. You all need to know. Yeah, let's listen to Stewart. Bring it on.
They haven't met a war they won't sign up for, and they haven't met a veteran they won't screw over. And now they say, well, this will get done maybe on the after we get back from our summer recess, maybe during the lame duck, because they're on Senate time. Do you understand? You live around here. Senate time is ridiculous. These motherfuckers live to 200. They're tortoises. They live forever, and they never lose their jobs, and they never
Yeah, I'll
lose
link
their
the
benefits,
documentary.
and they never lose all those things. Well, they're not on Senate time. They're on human time, cancer time. This is an embarrassment to the Senate, to the country, to the founders, and all that they profess to hold dear. And if this is America first, then America is fucked.
Thank you. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Absolute fire. That was incredible. Really good job, Jon Stewart. And handsome as always, David. But yeah, I completely agree with that sentiment. Like, I think just a lot of people need to wake up. And honestly, it's unfortunate because there is such a massive corporate mechanism coming from the right, such as, you know, Fox News, your Breitbarts, your Owns, Newsmax, all that kind of stuff, that are trying to take and I would say they're stealing the narrative. They're consistently convincing people about other causes being the root of a lot of these problems, when it's like, once it's laid out in front of you and you recognize that these politicians ultimately are beholden to corporate donors, to shareholders, and these lobbying groups have so much power to influence the way the system works, that it's not working for the people, which is what it's supposed to do. Like, fundamentally, if we strip away all the flair and the fucking wrestling theatrics of politics, the whole thing is supposed to be, under a democracy, an organization, a structure that you control democratically to be able to represent you and provide you with things. We're banding together collectively in these little groups called societies, forming countries and nation states, and we're supposed to be putting all our money, our dues, for being a part of this little team in the form of taxation to be able to pay for the things that we need to make our society better. That's the whole point. Not to be funneling all of it into the fucking military-industrial complex, the forever wars, the endless violence, the garbage, the fossil fuel extraction. Like, that's the biggest problem with all of this. That was a really, really good segment. I think I had another clip. I just want to see.
But I did want to point out, just to push back a little bit on this. So the
Did he go on? Is this Newsmax, the National Report? Hell yeah.
Republicans point out, but I did want to point out, just to push back a little bit on this. So the Republicans, when you say what you said, they do not support veterans. The Republicans push back, saying there is unrelated spending within this.
It's not. It's just not true. What they're saying is they don't like that it's mandatory as opposed to discretionary. There isn't unrelated spending to it. They're saying there could be if there wasn't oversight, but that's what the Senate's job is. The bill itself is incredibly detailed and prescriptive about what it's for. It's about treating and preventing the different conditions that veterans are coming home with, including cancers and chronic bronchiolitis and all these other issues from their exposures in Iraq and Afghanistan. And to push back on what they're saying, what if this creates a slush fund, right? So are you familiar with something called the OCO, the Overseas Contingency Operations Fund?
Fairly, yes.
So every year, $50 billion, $60 billion, $70 billion is added to what's called the OCO, on top of the $600 billion, $700 billion, $800 billion that goes to the Defense Department. That OCO fund is actually a slush fund, $60 to $70 billion every year. No oversight, no guardrails. And every one of those Republicans that voted against health care for veterans voted for the slush fund for the war. They don't support the troops. They support the war machine. And that's got to stop. The value in the U.S. military isn't.
See, this is fucking so based. I've said this before. You need good communicators to go into enemy territory and shut down narratives. Newsmax is fucking horrifying. Yeah, but how often does Newsmax get to hear that sentence out loud, said with such conviction, too? Like, and just cut right through the bullshit.
In the toys. It's not in the hardware. It's not in the tanks. It's in the men and women. And
also he just, I assume, agreed to do this from his cell phone or something. He's like, got a pop-up. It's like, Mr. Stewart, Newsmax would like to interview you right now live on Tuesday. Yeah, sure. Fuck it. Boom. Put it on the DoorDash. You're like, all right, what do you got?
Until they start supporting them in the manner that they purport to online,
Yeah.
they
It looks like he pulled over.
are hypocrites.
It is.
Oh man, based John. Good to see some classic Jon Stewart fucking ripping things up. This is also pretty funny if you haven't seen it. So outside of court today, Alex Jones gets upset with me, says I pretend to be a journalist. I remind him he's literally on trial for his journalistic failures. He calls me a pirate.
Shit. So I'm almost done here. So you pretend to be a journalist and you want to look at people like me so you can say you're the good guy.
I think you're on trial though, right? For not having.
No, the corporate media is on trial, and so is the rigged judiciary here.
But you literally
No.
today are on trial.
No, you are
just
on
to
trial.
clarify.
You're on trial.
I'm not.
You're on trial.
Okay.
What was that character on South Park? Towley. You're a towel. No, you're a towel. No, but you're literally a towel. No, you're a towel. He's doing that thing. It's like, no, but sir, can we clarify? You are quite literally on trial. Today, you're just outside of the courtroom right now. No, you're on trial. It's the whole damn system that's on trial. Every single one of you is on trial.
Failed Soros propped up corporate media.
All right.
You're nothing but a pirate. All right, ready to talk?
Just pulling out all the heavy hitters, eh? Soros. I mean, I don't often hear him call people a pirate. I don't even know if that's an insult, to be totally honest with you. I mean, pirates seem kind of fun. I don't know. I'm sure they were horrifying monsters, probably, historically, given the area, the period. I'm sure they did a ton of horrifying things, probably pillaging and raping, all that kind of stuff, yeah. But, I mean, as an insult in the modern age?
All right, ready to talk?
We have similar questions. There was some confusion about whether.
Shit.
I want to hear the pirate again.
Soros propped up corporate media.
All right.
You're nothing but a pirate.
You're nothing but a pirate. Yar! Yar, matey. Do you enjoy the Serfs but prefer not to have to use your eyeballs? Many are saying this. Well, we've got the solution for you. It's the Serf Times in podcast form. Available on most major podcasting networks now. If you enjoy it, please consider leaving a good review and feedback because it really helps the show out, apparently, and it's free, just like the podcast.
To our gods, Xander Corvus and Peyton L. Just, we are prepared to embark on a mighty jihad in your name. To our monarch, Tom Spiker, we are but your humble jester, attempting in vain to get you to laugh. To our valiant knights of the Round Table, Benji Arnie, Tech Tink, Scary Earth Human, Tony, DM Rivera, Resident Scarecrow, Sir Nickus, Mayred, Cheryl Alvarez, Ruby Kelly, Brandon, Words Greenwood. It doesn't matter what I believe, it only matters what I can prove. Egbert Celine, Matthew Scarborough, Stellar Vision, Ariane McCarthy, Daniel Sutton, Coulter Smith, Jenna Tao, Quiet 185, Anna Loves Riley, Omni, Riley and Anna, Poodlehawk, The Tim Caucus, Multimondi, Trevbot, EXE, Brian Ephraim, Lemmy 101, Anthropophojack, Saren 42, Catherine, Ramon Acosta, Incosin, Agent NDN, Violent Orchard, Political Puppy, La Media Panza, Zach Christensen, Todd Buckingham, and Todd Lajeunesse. We raise our mugs and salute our brave heroes off to another glorious conquest.